Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and I have a very interesting game for you played by a 12-year-old Vladimir Kramnik. His opponent is a chess player named Shilov, and the game was played at 1987 USSR Boys Championship. Before watching the video, if you are new to my channel, consider subscribing for more games. Shilov had white pieces and he started with e4, c5 by Kramnik, Sicilian defense, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3 and e5. Black goes for Sveshnikov variation. Though from the first glance this looks anti-positional because it leaves black with a backward d pawn and a weakness on d5. But from a practical point of view, it's not so easy to gain an initiative with the white pieces, and this line is actually very popular among grandmasters. Knight d5 was played, now the threat is knight d6 check, that's why d6 and bishop g5. White gets ready to eliminate the knight on f6, damage black's pawn structure and take control over the d5 square. a6, black is kicking away the knight and then is advancing on the queen side. Here comes bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and the knight occupies the central d5 square. f5, c3, freeing this c2 square for the knight, and f takes e4. Not a good move. Here is a quotation from Kramnik's book My Life and Games. A well-known mistake that was as yet unknown to a 12-year-old youth who within 3 hours was to become the champion of the greatest chess country in the world. Actually, instead of capturing on e4, it was better to play bishop g7, and already this bishop takes b5 sacrifice is not dangerous because after a takes b5, knight takes b5, black can simply castle kingside, avoiding knight c7 check. But after c3, f takes e4 was played, and here comes bishop takes b5. But Kramnik didn't dare to recapture and played bishop d7, but actually according to the engine, capturing on b5 is better, though after knight takes b5, bishop e6, white can play knight c7 check and then capture on a8. Right now you can't recapture because of this knight b6 fork. You should first capture on d5 and only then on a8. Though after queen takes f7 check, still white has a huge advantage. It's going to be very difficult for black to consolidate his position. Let's go back. After bishop takes b5, Kramnik played bishop d7, bishop a4, bishop g7. Now comes the knight c4. Black castles kingside and knight b6. White knights are simply creating too many problems for black. Rook a7 was played, but now comes knight takes d7, and after queen takes d7, here comes the knight intensifying the pin. But in this position, Kramnik made a very important decision. You can pause the video and try to find his next moves. Ready? Understanding that white actually has a huge advantage, Kramnik decided to sharpen the game and captured on b4 and sacrificed his queen. Of course, two pieces can't compensate a queen, but black is actually getting pretty interesting counter-attacking chances. Now instead of capturing on d7, as you can see, the knight on b4 is also hanging. That's why black first played knight d3 check, and only after king f1 we see rook takes d7. Queen e2, now comes the f pawn f5, rook d1 and d5. Look at this beautiful pawn formation. This reminds me of Tetrominos from Tetris game. Probably I should give up publishing chess games and start playing Tetris. Understanding that these powerful central pawns together with the knight can be of a real danger, Shilov decided to go for this exchange sacrifice and get rid of this powerful knight. He takes d3, queen takes d3, rook d6, king e2, e4, queen c2, f4. Though the engine gives white a huge advantage, +3, but from a human perspective, actually this position is easier to play with black pieces. Looks like that white is lack of ideas, while black is playing very aggressively and is trying to make use of his powerful pawns and the vulnerability of the white king. f3 was played, now comes rook g6, taking under attack the pawn on g2, rook g1, king h8, both moving away the king from this dangerous diagonal, and also at some point the rook can go on g8 square, queen b3 and d4. C takes d4, not a good move. After this, actually black is managing to equalize the game, and then gradually will even gain advantage. Instead of capturing on d4, queen b4 is better. If d3 check, then king d2. If he takes f3, then queen b7, covering the g2 square. If f takes g2, then rook takes g2. If f3, then rook f2. Still white has an advantage, but after d4, c takes d4 was played, and now gradually white's position is starting to deteriorate. Queen b4, counter-attacking the bishop and the rook. Rook d8, queen e7, rook g8, rook e1, and now black captures on g2. King d1, he takes f3, queen d7, bishop e3, and rook takes e3, which is a fatal mistake. Well, it was better to play queen d6, indirectly protecting the pawn on b2 square. The pawn can't be captured because of this queen f6 fork. And after queen d6, if rook d2 check, then white can exchange the queen with two pieces and go for this rook endgame, though black has a winning position, but still white can try his luck. Instead, after bishop e3, rook takes e3 was played, which is just losing on the spot. F takes e3, queen d4 check, rook g7, queen takes e3. Looks like that gradually white managed to get rid of these powerful pawns, but in here Kramnik landed a heavy punch. f2 was played and Shilov resigned. Now if king e2, then simply rook f8 followed by rook g1 check, and black queen appears on the board. Or after f2, if queen takes f2, then rook g1 check followed by rook g2. Black is winning the queen and it's over. This is a simple win. That's why understanding all this, after f2 Shilov resigned. A very interesting game, I think, though Kramnik's position was lost, but with that impressive queen sacrifice he managed to sharpen the game, created too many problems for his opponent, made him make mistakes, and managed to fight back and win the game. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you, and for more games don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Good luck.